Negotiations for world peace proceeding smoothly as more bad guys bite the dust. A North Korean peace deal, a Ukrainian peace deal, and a resolution of Middle Eastern problems, including the Israeli-Palestinian issue, are all being negotiated behind the scenes, multiple sources agree. This is why US President Donald Trump will be going to Israel, Saudi Arabia, and then Rome starting on the 24th of this month, the sources say. Trump himself told Fox TV that after these meetings, he will go to the big conference of our countries that are going to help the world. The details of the peace deal with North Korea are yet to be negotiated, but sources close to the talks say North Korea will be offered a guarantee of sovereignty and security in exchange for publicly giving up its nuclear weapons program. Of course, this will only be a face-saving gesture since, in secret, North Korea will be allowed to keep its nuclear deterrent, the sources say. The pending North Korean peace accord is definitely related to China's massive One Belt, One Road (OBOR) infrastructure initiative, since a peace accord in the Korean peninsula would allow for the construction of a tunnel linking Japan to the Eurasian mainland. Construction on this tunnel has already begun, Japanese government sources admit. The presence of the delegates from the United States, South Korea, Japan, Germany, the UK, and France at China's big OBOR gathering this weekend shows Western resistance to this project has ended. The fact Chinese President Xi Jinping stopped in Alaska on the way back from his recent summit meeting with Trump means it is a pretty good guess a deal has been reached to make a tunnel linking Alaska to the Eurasian landmass. Already, freight trains are going from London and Germany to China, cutting the travel time for goods by half and lowering cost as well. These new land freight routes are one of the reasons the Baltic Dry Index remains stuck at very low level, since overland travel is both cheaper and faster within Eurasia. It will not be too far in the future before it will be possible to take a train or ship goods by train from New York to London via China and Russia. An underground high 3,000 km/h vacuum tube rail tunnel linking London and New York is also expected to go into operation, sources in the US Secret Space Program say. The Chinese are also hoping to once again become inventors of the world-changing technology like the compass, gunpowder, paper, and printing. Chinese President Xi Jinping says the Chinese are investing vast sums to create breakthroughs in the areas of AI, nanotechnology, quantum computing, and smart cities. This massive Chinese initiative may well be dwarfed by a Western initiative being secretly negotiated that will release trillions, if not quadrillions of dollars for massive campaigns to, as Trump put it, help the world. This campaign could easily end poverty, stop environmental destruction, and launch a new era of space exploration and colonization, among other things. The Western inventions that could be released include free energy, faster-than-light travel, and next-generation 3D printers that could create practically anything out of thin air, according to NSA sources. To understand how much the Khazarian mafia has hindered human progress, recall how, in the 1990s, the United Nations came out with a plan that called for the elimination of poverty and environmental destruction by the year 2000. The plan estimated poverty could be ended with just $200 billion and environmental destruction stopped for just $400 billion. Instead, though, the Khazarian mafia staged 911, continued its hijack of the world's financial system, and spent trillions and trillions of dollars on its plan to kill 90% of humanity. The money was spent on wars, on spreading biowarfare agents like SARS and Ebola, and on paying farmers to grow fuel instead of food so as to start mass starvation. That means that before a plan to turn this planet into a paradise can be carried out, some mopping up the final pockets of Khazarian Zionist resistance is still ahead of us. Here is what our Pentagon sources had to say about this. The FBI Director James Comey firing was 110 days overdue and begins the war with the deep state as the Clinton Foundation, Obama, the delegates, and the DNC will be aggressively prosecuted by the Department of Justice. Comey may be indicted for obstruction of justice in letting Hillary walk, trying to bribe a Russian hacker to frame Russian President Vladimir Putin, and refusing to probe wiretapping of Trump and other VIPs, the Pentagon sources continue. Also, Japanese imperial family and CIA sources both confirmed that Hillary Clinton was in fact the daughter of David Rockefeller. Since Bill Clinton was the son of Winthrop Rockefeller, according to these sources, we see now how Sainted bloodline in Brad Rule is hidden with new surnames. The death of David Rockefeller has given people the courage to come forward with information like this, the imperial family source said. The sudden appearance of Henry Kissinger with Donald Trump in front of White House photographers last week may have been a sign Kissinger has been singing a song about his longtime slave masters, the Rockefellers. A Kissinger envoy did tell the White Dragon Society that Kissinger was a longtime Soviet agent, going by the code name Bohr, and that he always resented how David Rockefeller humiliated him. In any case, Kissinger is apparently using all his old connections these days to try to negotiate final peace deals around the world. So, for now, he is being taken off the wanted list. This sort of exposure of bloodline rule is likely to expand to include other hidden Rockefeller power centers like David Rockefeller's grandson, Mark Zuckerberg, and his Facebook Shippo control grid. The cleanup will gather momentum as more Khazarian mob lackeys are removed from the U.S. security infrastructure. After Comey, the next domino to fall is expected to be National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, who may be fired, demoted, and court-martialed for sharing classified info with convicted felon David Petraeus, and stacking the National Security Council with Petraeus' cronies, Pentagon sources say. The sources say they were the people behind the big last-minute push by the Zionists to start World War III either in Syria or North Korea. Of course, the Khazarian agents in Washington, D.C. are freaking out and talking about impeaching Trump. The satirical email from CIA agent quoted below sums up the whole show in D.C. quite well. In an interview with NBC's Lester Holt, Donald Trump boasted that if he is impeached, the television ratings will be higher than those of any other impeachment in history. Everywhere I go, people tell me that if I am impeached, they're going to watch it, he said. The ratings are going to be through the roof. He said that he expected his impeachment ratings to be many times the size of the audience for Bill Clinton's impeachment in 1998. The cartoon gets better and better. The lawyers who wrote a letter saying Trump has no significant business ties to Russia work for a law firm that has extensive ties to Russia and received a Russia Law Firm of the Year award in 2016. There can be no doubt the Russians indeed, along with most of the rest of the world, are cooperating in removing the Khazarian filth from power. That is why there is a lot of pressure being applied on the Khazarian Zionist nest in Israel. Here, China, Russia, and the United States are all insisting Israel must accept a two-state solution with the Palestinians, Pentagon sources say. Furthermore, top U.S. General Joseph Dunford is in Israel this week to force the Israelis to comply with Russian-initiated deconfliction zones in Syria and elsewhere, the sources say. In other words, they are to cease and desist with their day's troublemaking. There are also big moves taking place under the surface in Japan too. Japan's largest gang, the Yamaguchi-gumi, has now split into 3 factions, representing 3 dominant personalities. Sources in all 3 factions confirm. Only one of those factions, the weakest one, is still subcontracting for the Khazarian mafia. However, if a deal can be reached on North Korean amphetamine distribution through legalization and regulation, that final faction will also cut its links with the Khazarians. This will clear the way for a total change in Japan's power structure because the Khazarians will lose all enforcement agents they have here. Already, all attempts to place Khazarian slaves like French Rosjar agent Taro Aso in power in Japan are being stopped. Aso has been pushing hard for him, together with Ichiro Ozawa, to be placed in power in Japan just in time to catch the massive funds that are expected to be released, according to Japanese right-wing sources. However, Yakuza gangsters from Aso's home district of Kyushu say he is evil and no longer has the support. The Khazarians, desperate for gold, are also trying to cause trouble in Indonesia. Indonesian intelligence service sources say, the current upheaval in Indonesia between Christians and Muslims is financed by Western powers, who are attempting to destabilize the country. This is a result of the Jokowi government not complying with the Freeport McMoran mine director's demands. They are attempting to circumnavigate the mining laws of Indonesia. The upheaval they are referring to is multiple attempts by Khazarian-controlled oligarchs connected to the murderous former Suharto regime to overthrow democratically elected and popular President Jokowi, the sources say. In any case, until this is over, we can expect some continued Khazarian troublemaking in the Ukraine, Indonesia, the Middle East, Japan, and elsewhere.